Yeah.
Yes.
And Jake Gardner,
Yeah.
number 8. Okay. Is that right there?
Well, it is now.
Well, not really. We weren't live.
What's that?
We weren't live when you said that, Josh, so I was just curious if you're okay with that being out
Oh,
there.
okay.
You're okay with that being out there? Or no?
Sure. I mean, it's a rumor, right? But
That's right. It is a rumor.
yeah, that's what I was told. Now it's funny because people that I speak with in Toronto about that feel that's too much, including Mike.
Yeah.
People I talk to outside Toronto think it's not enough.
Right. That's your typical thing, right? I'm going to get a headset.
I
1 second, I'll be right back because I'm going to get thrown by this delay.
yeah. Where are you set up, Mike?
On the other side of the basement where Eck is.
Oh, your lips.
I have headphones.
Your lips. Your lips and your words aren't syncing up.
Mine?
You know. Yeah.
Let me see if I'm going to put...
Your words are actually coming out before you were mouthing the words, if that's possible. Yeah.
What about now?
Actually, now your mouth is mouthing the words.
Interesting. The volume's not coming out.
Is Vancouver trading all their defensemen here? Because one guy is saying that they're going to move Garrison, another guy is saying they're going to move Edler. Actually, it's...
Hold on.
Yeah.
I plugged my headphones in and... okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now your words
the speaker's not playing on mine, which, I mean, as long as you can hear me, that's fine.
Okay. Yeah, hold on.
Yeah, I can hear you. I can't
hear Josh, though. That's the problem.
You can't hear Josh?
I got to leave it.
There it goes. Okay, now I can hear him.
I can only stay till 2, guys. I got another doctor's appointment today.
No, 2's fine.
Are we on the same server or same thing again, Eck? Maybe that's...
Is that a problem, you think? Or which one did you hook into?
Hold on.
Are you on the Ace? Are you on Ace?
So you guys are in the same room?
No, well, we'll cross the room.
So you can see him where you're sitting?
Yes. Yes.
I'm on net, the 5G.
Yeah, go to the Asus one, Mike. That'd be better. We'll lose you for a second. That's all right. Come back in. I think that'll be better for you. That worked better yesterday.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, we'll have Bill
Josh,
Marshall.
say something.
Josh?
Yes, sorry.
Okay, good.
Oh,
I can hear you.
Eck.
Yes.
If you you know who Jason Woolley is, right?
The ex-defenseman.
Yeah, I'm on it.
He's an NHL agent now. He represents Brendan Perlini and Dylan Sadoway, who are going to be drafted.
You can't hear
Who are
Josh.
going to be drafted.
Hold on, Josh, 1 second. You can't hear Josh? That doesn't make any sense, Mike. Because you can hear me coming through your thing, right?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. I can hear both of you.
Why am I hearing Josh? You know what? You've got. It might give the YouTube thing kind of. Okay, we have the YouTube thing delayed. Is what's going on? I think. Is the YouTube window open? Okay, he'll be back.
Interesting. If I may say this. Yep. Chris Cuck of the Chicago Tribune. Is he Tribune?
Sure.
Source says Blackhawks are listening to offers for Patrick Sharp. No, Rich Curran. No.
Dun, dun, dun.
That puke, Kyprios.
There's pukes in Chicago now too.
I've got something for this. Perfect. We'll be right back. You guys can continue talking. By the way, let's just start the show. Today is Friday, the 25th of June,
27th.
27th of June. Hello, Hockey World. It is Friday, June 27th, 2014. It's draft day.
I'm Michael Agello.
I'm Josh Rimmer. From the wig.
A roach clip, Josh, or what's going on there exactly?
It's hairs from the wig. But anyway, go ahead.
Wow. All right.
Just burn that.
It's not me. They're not from me.
Hairs from the wig. That's the name of your memoirs, Josh, someday.
Josh,
people are wondering what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Josh, the new spokesman for Rogaine. Thank you very much.
Right. All right, so you guys talk for a second. You just repeat what you just said, Josh, about the whole thing, or Mike, you can talk about it, because now apparently another Chicago newspaper, not the one who we talked about yesterday, but a different one.
Yeah. Chris Kook from the Chicago Tribune, I think it is. Did we decide if it was the Tribune? Says a source says the Blackhawks are listening to offers for winger Patrick Sharp. Mm-hmm. So, after what we talked about yesterday and the whole Rick Curran, who is the agent for Patrick Sharp, saying that this isn't happening, they're not trading Sharp. Stan Bowman told us they're not moving him. Now this comes out after it was already out from Kyprios before. So is Patrick Sharp on the move? Are they going to trade him?
Apparently the source for this story is Nick Kyprios. No.
What a vicious circle we weave.
Yes.
No,
I think, as we said yesterday, parsing the words of Rick Curran.
That sounds like a book.
Yes, there you go. Parsing the word. Yes.
Parsing the words of Rick Curran with Mike Agello.
Yes. By Theodore Olson, former Solicitor General of the United States. No.
Forward by Mike Agello.
Thank you.
Right.
Yeah, but basically, when he says right now, we've all said, he's saying, like, at that moment, he could mean tomorrow that if there's an offer on the table that's acceptable to the Blackhawks, that Patrick Sharp is on his butt is on a town on a rail. So, I think this is a fluid situation, and if they get what they're looking for, which could be Kessler, which could be, whatever they're trying to trade Sharp for, Jason Spezza, if things fall into place, Patrick Sharp could be on the move. I'm not starting any rumors, so don't yell at me, Rick Curran. Don't call me a puke.
I'll call you a puke, Mike.
There you go.
Just kidding. I would never call you a puke. I have the music for Parsing the Words with Rich Curran, by the way, by Mike Agello. I brought down my harp, because this is a good time to have your harp. So I have a harp. And so in case we ever want to do that's the theme of Parsing the Words with Rich Curran by Mike Agello. Should tune the harp.
Wow. Let's get to the rumors.
Let's do it. All right, Josh, what do you got?
I was told this morning that apparently the Toronto Maple Leafs are still trying to get Aaron Ekblad with the #1 pick for the Florida Panthers. And rumor has it is that they offered up Jake Gardiner to the Panthers for the #1 pick. Now, it's funny, and I mentioned this to you guys in the pre-show, the people I spoke to in Toronto say it's ridiculous that they're offering Jake Gardiner up. The people outside Toronto are saying, whoa, that's not enough. I mean,
I got an email from somebody who was really arguing about this with us last night. It was pretty funny. I'll bring that up in a little bit. Continue.
Yeah, I think it's funny, but if you're in Toronto, he's a superstar. If you're outside Toronto, he's a nobody.
Wow.
But I mean, we know he's not a nobody. He's a good puck-moving defenseman. Obviously, him and Randy Carlyle haven't been on the same page here the last season and a half.
Yeah, the page that tells you have to play defense if you're a defenseman. That page.
Yeah, that's a minor detail.
Yeah,
Mike.
come on.
Minor detail.
A lot of people that aren't on that page, though. Quite a few people. Continue.
So,
Uh-oh.
So the Florida Panthers, looking at Jake Gardiner as a possibility. And you know what? Let's be honest. I mean, the first overall pick is the clear-cut pick, Aaron Ekblad, but there's still some pretty good talent with the #8 pick. The next question I would have is, if Florida does get the #8 pick, do they trade maybe a little bit down then? Like, I keep hearing there's going to be a lot of trades made today at the draft. A lot of teams are jockeying for position. A lot of teams want to move up. A lot of people want to move down.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a busy day today, guys.
Well, from and this is just what I've heard from various reports, and it does make sense. I mean, Edmonton, Vancouver, Toronto. I believe Anaheim is at number 10. They're supposedly in on the mix on the number 1 pick. The reported offer for Vancouver was Chris Tanev, the defenseman, prospect named Hunter Shinkaruk, and their number 6 pick. Now we've heard varying things about the Leafs and Gardner or Phaneuf or Kadri. I've heard so many options that it's dizzying.
It is dizzying, Mike.
But the thing is, like you said, Josh, it's like from the point of view of Florida, they may not, and people outside of Toronto, they may not think it's enough. In Toronto, they see the potential of a Gardner. I mean, I'm a critic of Gardner because there are holes in his game. But right now, a 23-year-old puck-rushing defenseman with the ability that Gardner has is a valuable commodity, and he would probably be able to be signed on his bridge deal for under $3 million. The question is, and this is apparently the main factor, one of the main factors with Dale Talon and with the Panthers, there is a player that they've targeted, not Ekblad, but a guy who is anywhere between 4 and 8 that they want to draft, that's the guy that they really want. Some people say it's Del Cole. Some people say it's Richie. If they need to know whether that guy is going to be at the pick that they're going to trade for before they make the deal. So it could be they take Ekblad at 1, and if the player is there, say at 8 when Toronto is picking, that might be when the deal is announced.
Could be. I mean, Florida. Let's go back through the evolution of this Florida thing a little bit because it's been very confusing. Initially, I was told very specifically at the finals that Florida was not going to move this pick because their owner didn't want to, and that was basically that Dale Talon probably wanted to, but this is how it was sold. Now remember, there's all good cop bad cop thing going on here, so if you really want to just get down to it, it's kind of take everything with a grain of salt, right? So they don't want to move this pick, and we're thinking, okay, that's fine, we're not going to move this pick. Then last night, for the first time ever that I've heard, suddenly Florida was going to move the pick. And then I was told the owner, well, he's thinking, maybe we got Luongo last year. Perhaps this is time now for us to maybe win more now than wait 2 years for an Ekblad to come into play.
Yeah.
So that changes last night.
But it may have. Let's just say that the campaign to say that they wanted to keep the pick, which I think was probably put out there to raise the price on the pick, ended last night. I think all along they've been wanting to trade this pick. I mean, they said 2 months ago when they got the pick they wanted to trade the pick. When they got Luongo at the deadline and went on a track to make the playoffs this year, I mean that's and Viola, the new owner, is opening up the bank to bring in players. That's all consistent with making the playoffs now, not drafting an 18-year-old who is, from all reports, a very mature kid who's could be a very, very good NHL defenseman. But it's going to take 3 years for him to really develop and become the player he's going to become. They want to make the playoffs now, and I don't think you can do that with Aaron Ekblad and Eric Branson and Dmitry Kulikov as your top 3 defensemen along with Brian Campbell.
Well, let's fast forward over to something now because I got an email yesterday, or actually this morning, very early, from Marcus, who said, nobody is projecting Ekblad as the next Shea Weber. Not everybody even has seen him as a number 1 D-man. There is no consensus that he should be the number 1 in this draft. And if, remember Yakupov, okay. This is Marcus is from somewhere in Europe, so we're going to give him a break. But the 8th pick plus Phaneuf plus Gardner for a prospect, and he is not more than a prospect, would ruin the Leafs for years. And the Leafs are not even very good at developing young players. Mike would call this a brain cramp. Sometimes reporters should think first and talk or write afterwards. So yes, so Marcus agrees with you. And my camera's falling, but continue. So I think we're being joined by Bill Meltzer as well. Hey, Bill. Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Meltzer. camera's falling. Sorry. Hey, Bill. There's Bill. Can you hear us, Bill?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Excellent. It's a fetching red shirt you're wearing, Bill. I like it. All right, so we're just talking about the first overall pick now and how it has apparently been changed. And I'm going to tape my camera together in a second because it's going lower and lower. But for now, here's where we are, right? So we are looking at a pick now that most people are. So John Shannon, I think, has just come out and said this pick's going to get traded. I'm not convinced that it's going to get traded still. Bill, what are your thoughts on this?
You don't often see, that pick traded. I think that, I think it would take a hell of a package to land the first pick. But there's so much smoke around this that at this point I wouldn't be surprised if Florida's doing something, moving the pick. So, I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, you would put out, you thought possibly Vancouver could be that team, and I don't know. I don't know who the team would be.
Yeah, I want to discuss that next, actually. I do think. Sorry, I'm back. I fixed my camera. I do think Vancouver is the team. This is from a lot of people, talking to a lot of people last night, and I've heard that Kessler could be involved in this, and I've also heard Kessler might not be involved in this, that Vancouver might be the team anyway, without Kessler being involved in it. Vancouver has the 6th pick overall?
Yeah.
So we know they don't want to move down past 8th, but Vancouver's in that wheelhouse, and they have to do something big. So this is I could see Vancouver making this pick. I really could. I could see Vancouver making that trade. I don't think it's going to come from Philadelphia. I'll just say that. Just from talking to people, I don't get any impression Philadelphia going to do it. Josh?
Hey guys, Bob Stauffer just tweeted, my sense is that Dale Talon's trying to create a bit of false market for the #1 overall pick. I find that kind of interesting.
Well, I think that's my sense too. I'd agree with Bob on that one for sure. I think that's absolutely happening, and this does have all the feel of a run on the bank type situation. Like this is. I don't know that this is, kind of reminds me of like It's a Wonderful Life in a way.
Well, the funny thing is, and it's been said by many people over the last week, is the fact that, and even Talon said it himself too. I think it was George Richards from the Miami Herald, that they have one serious offer for the #1 pick. Now that might mean he only has one offer that he's even prepared to do, and he may not like the total package that he's being offered there, and he's trying to get a bidding war started, and this would be the time to do it 5.5 hours before the draft. But if your intent, if they're not high on Ekblad and they like whoever they like a little lower down, I think if they have that one offer at 6 o'clock or 6:30, I think he's going to trade the pick. If he can get himself a young NHL-ready player under the age of 25 that he can hold on to for a couple, 3-4 years, who can help them, either a defenseman or a forward, and a prospect and a first-round pick for that #1 pick, and they're not sold on Ekblad, or they don't think Ekblad is the right fit, then it's stupid not to make the deal.
Ekblad stock has dropped a little bit, I would say, over the last couple of days. I don't know why. It's one of those things you can never tell. Like, it reminds you of Shea Weber now all of a sudden, because Shea Weber was the guy, and now sudden defenseman of #1 overall is many people are starting to that. You're starting to hear that thing.
Yeah. If you look at the history of defensemen taken first overall, it gives a lot of team pause. If you look at the guys who've gone, first overall among defensemen, and guys like Hammerlick, and actually a guy that I've heard some scouts compare Ekblad to is Eric Johnson in his draft year.
Yeah,
right.
Chris Phillips.
With defensemen in general are harder projections than forwards. Fewer defensemen ever hit their ceiling than forwards do. Of course, not that many forwards do either, but I mean, in terms of defensemen, you look at it statistically over the years, you're most likely to find a future NHL starter who plays defense if you pick him in the first round. But in terms of finding a future star defensemen have come from all over the draft. I mean, you talk about Shea Weber. He was a second-round pick. Subban was a second-round pick. Kimo Timonen was an 11th-round guy. I mean, they and so on and so on and so on. So I think that the teams are a little bit scared about taking a defenseman first overall, even if they like him. I mean, look what happened last year with Seth Jones, where
Yeah.
Where I think a big part of the reason why Colorado had to put out there ahead of time that they were going to go for a forward was to prepare their fans for it, because
Definitely.
as much as they viewed McKinnon as another can't miss guy, and with a I think if they think a forward is can't miss and a defenseman is kind of pretty close to that, they might go for the forward just for the risk aspect of it when you're picking first overall.
Right. Yeah, I've heard that all this might be a bunch of smoke and mirrors, and in the end they don't trade the pick and they take Sam Bennett instead of taking Ekblad, which anything's a possibility right now.
I'm hearing, whose name has really risen in the last 24 hours, and this is among a lot of people, is Drisanti. He's the guy. Leon Drisanti. He's really
yes.
No, I think
Draisaitl.
I'm sorry, I'm like reading my thing.
No. Believe me, I butchered that name 4 or 5 times.
Right. Yeah, I typed it wrong.
It's tough.
But that's how good I am at the draft. I am not a draft guy. Just throwing it out there. I'm a rumor guy. But there are plenty of rumors to talk about. But anyway, but his name has been mentioned by many people to me over the last 24 hours. People who really know and people who are close to Florida. So that's not impossible. That's where they go. Now, Bill, before you have to go, and I know you have to go soon, I wanted to just talk to you about this Flyers thing that I heard today. LeCavier and a pick to Florida for Scotty Upshall. This is what are your thoughts on that?
Well, my thoughts on it are that the short-range optics of that would look terrible.
Right.
When people's knee-jerk reactions are going to be, this is a horrific trade.
Right.
Well, when you weigh all the factors that are involved, Upshall's contract expires in a year. It would only be about $1 million of cap relief for the Flyers. Not much, but they're not tied in long term.
Right.
So that's a selling point. Another selling point is, although Upshall is chronically injured, and has been kind of inconsistent over the course of his career, one thing the Flyers have been looking to upgrade his team speed, and Upshall is still one of the fastest guys in the NHL. And the other thing as well is that Upshall has that kind of upbeat, enthusiastic personality. The Flyers just lost a guy like that in Hartnell. Upshall can come in and kind of be that positive guy who's always thinking, we can do this, and come in for a year and kind of fill a little bit of a void there behind the scenes. So that's, there'd be some ways of selling that, and also in the long-term benefit, of course, getting an albatross of a contract out the door. Now, why would the Flyers have to trade a second-round pick or whatever the case might be? It would be because their options are limited, and they're trading from a position of weakness. If they feel as though they can get a draft pick asset from another team, a second round or a third round or the equivalent thereof at some point before the draft next year, then you replace that asset essentially. So, right now the trade would look awful. A year from now it would actually look pretty good.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree. Josh?
Are the Flyers trading for former Flyers now? Is Mike Richards?
Yeah,
I'm waiting for the jokes about the Flyers trying to recreate their 2007-08 team.
When is Ryan Parent and Brian Boucher coming back? Come on.
Is Lupul available?
Mike Richards?
No, but this is what they do, and these are the rules in the city. You have to bring people back at least once. So. This is what's happening here. This is only the first time Scotty Upshall would be back. That's nothing. This is Hextall's third time back. So yeah, I think that one time back, that's nothing. Yeah. So in order for the Flyers to move LeCavier, which they really want to do, they're going to have to do something like this, and it's the only option they have. It reminds me a little bit of was it Sergei Makarov, right? Like Makarov back in the day when New Jersey had to move him, and they moved him. They shipped him to San Jose, I guess it was.
Oh yeah, Vladimir Malikov.
Yeah, I'm terrible. Sergei Makarov. Just a little bit of sleep would do me wonders.
Makarov, Malikov.
Yeah, let's call the whole thing off.
Dreidel. Yeah, you say tomato, I say tomato. Let's just admit you're wrong. Okay. Yeah. And I'm still stuck on the joke, Bill, of like you said, it gives teams pause to pick a defenseman in the first, and honestly, no team has more pause than the Florida Panthers.
That's true.
One note here from our friend Andy Strickland, and this may have been a factor in the Canucks rumor regarding the first pick. The Canucks already approached defenseman Jason Garrison to waive his no-trade clause.
Really?
Presumably to go back to Florida, but he doesn't say that. And Garrison declined to waive the clause.
That's lame. If they did that, because Garrison took a discount to play for them.
Yeah.
I find that very hard to believe that they would approach Garrison to waive his no-trade clause. I mean, because remember the way that went down.
Yeah.
Garrison had a lot of suitors, and he went to Vancouver because he really wanted to be a Vancouver Canuck. That was his thing. So
I think from BC, actually.
Right, and he had bigger offers from other places. And now if that team's turning around and saying, hey, waive your no-trade clause to go back to Florida, I'm not surprised he's not saying sure.
Yeah, and maybe that throws a wrench in the works when it comes to a Vancouver Florida deal, if that's what the intention was. I mean, I honestly can't see that deal involving Kessler. I mean, to me, the rumor of the Tanev and the prospect makes more sense because that's supposedly the model of what they're looking for, a young player and a prospect. That's I don't know who the prospect would be in a potential Leaf deal for the number one pick if there is maybe they think Gardner is enough of a prospect that you can include him as an all-encompassing player, but I don't know.
Well, James Neal's another name that's coming up today quite a bit, and I honestly think that James Neal will be moved. Maybe if not today, but for July 1st. I think that he's definitely on the way out. Today might be who knows if he's going to move today or tomorrow, but I think definitely before Tuesday. God help us, July 1st is Tuesday.
Actually, you got to think if they end up moving Neal, and obviously they've lost Niskanen, that maybe they're planning on reeling in a pretty good name, either free agent day or via trade, because that's going to open up a lot of cap space.
Well, I think this is probably to keep Jokinen, to be honest. From what I was told, that this is a matter of them wanting to keep UC Jokinen. And maybe make a better play for Niskanen. I'm not convinced that either of those players are absolutely gone. If they can get rid of Neal, they have a chance. Now, I was told that the Marc-Andre Fleury trade talks were off. That the team that Pittsburgh had talked to had backed out and said no based on what they were asking back. So for now, it seems like Marc-Andre Fleury is there to stay. The other thing I was working on today was I wrote about this earlier is Rene Bourque, who if you remember had asked out of Montreal during the regular season. It was kind of under the radar, but it was definitely known by people near the Canadiens. Went on to have a playoff where he scored probably a goal for every minute he played in the playoffs, and nothing against Michel Therrien, but that's just.
No.
He's on his way out. And Rene Bourque is a very valuable player. I've heard him tied to a couple teams, and in the last hour I heard him tied to Pittsburgh as well as Vancouver. So, Rene Bourque's a good. I would pick up Rene Bourque. I really would. Bill?
Yeah, Bourque is one of those guys who, with the right mix around them, can be one of those under the radar acquisitions who comes and makes a GM look very good a year from now. Come playoff time in particular, just his ability to put the puck in the net.
He's one of those annoying players, and
yeah, for sure.
He drives. I think he drives coaches and general managers crazy because he's got the talent and ability to dominate. He just doesn't have the motivation to do it every game. And a player, and I go back in the day, a guy like Sergei Berezin from the Maple Leafs. The guy for 10 games was one of the best players in the league. Problem is the other 72, he's a disappearing act.
Right.
Well, the situation he had in Montreal is the perfect kind of situation sometimes to shake a player out of that malaise. Like he's been benched, he's been thrown into different. He might get to a team that he really just decides, okay, now I'm going to actually play. Bill, if you have to go, take off. It's fine, no problem.
All right, guys. I will look forward to seeing you at the draft, and hope everyone enjoys tonight.
Yeah, one thing before you go, but one thing we're going to do at the draft is Mike, Bill, and I. Along with, I'm going to try to sneak Kevin Allen out too. Are going to try to find a place to meet up at the draft with anyone who's there, or anybody who's going. So if you're going to be down there tonight, keep checking my Twitter feed and Bill's Twitter feed at Bill Meltzer, and we'll tell you where and when we'll do that.
Absolutely, looking forward to it.
Thanks, Bill.
Everybody. Bye.
Take it easy.
See you, Bill.
See you tonight, Bill.
Okay, so another thing that's being reported, our own John Jackal saying that the Hawks may have offered a multiple player deal to Florida, for their number one pick. I'm not convinced of this. I looked into it a little bit. I couldn't find anything really regarding it, but the one thing you'll say about Chicago is that they love to make splashes. That's a team that really wants to do something all the time. So if they have a chance to make a splash, they could. Beyond, Patrick Sharp trading, which we talked about, is being reported again as a possibility. The other thing is Dale Talon is not likely to help out the Blackhawks anytime soon. I mean, if there's one team Dale Talon's not going to help out.
Yeah, but they have made trades. I mean,
they've made trades that really were
mutually
in
beneficial.
Florida's favor. Like the Versteeg trade was definitely a bad trade for Chicago last year. I'm trying to think of the trades that they've made. That's the one that comes to mind. Well, but Brian Campbell was that was more of, but that again, Talon was getting helped out there more than they were. This is when you trade the first round pick and you give them all that publicity. I think if there's two offers on the table, it's not going to be Chicago. Put it that way.
I wonder if it's the bunch of players that Josh was mentioning, and we were talking about like Nick Leddy and I don't know if they want to trade Yarmulson, but I'm saying those guys who are sort of the median players that they need to move somebody out, and maybe Patrick Sharp is part of this. And the thing is,
well, according to John, it's the players he has written down are Sharp is part of it, Roosevelt, and defensive prospect Adam Clendening.
Yeah.
So,
Clendening.
Yeah.
Clendening.
An interesting tweet, guys, by Jeff Merrick. I expect Nicholas Ritchie to be a big mover up tonight. Told the most interested teams who pick high are Calgary and Florida. So that makes you wonder, maybe that's why Florida's contemplating making a trade with Toronto, because they get the 8th pick, and that's around the number that Nick Ritchie could go.
For sure.
Sure. I mean, Ritchie is the type of player that Brian Burke, drools over. He's 6'3", 230, big in the corners, rough and tumble type of guy. I could see Calgary, and I've seen a couple projections where Calgary takes him at 4.
Wow.
To me, that would indicate, if Talon thinks that Burke is going to take him at 4, that he can't make the deal with the Leafs if he wants to get Ritchie at 8.
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe he feels safe trading down to 3. See, the thing is, you trade down to 3 with Edmonton, and then you don't take Bennett, whoever's left of Bennett, Reinhart, or Ekblad, you look like an idiot. I mean, the only player that you could take that's not one of those 3 is Draisaitl, because he's speculated to be in that same group. But if you reach and take a Del Cole or take a Perlini or take one of the Kapanen you may as well trade down to 8 or 10 and get one of those guys there. It's stupid to take them at 3.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, but that's a real. If you've got a player like that you really want and you think they're going to fall to 8 and you're moving from 1 to 8, that's a big variance. I mean, you have 6 other teams that could take that player, and then you could end up, that's a really hard move to make. It's a real big gamble. Unless you're okay with anyone else in there, but if you have one guy that you're really very, very much targeting, that's a tough one. Josh?
Yeah. Well, actually, I should have started this off. Started the show. I meant to start out with a little speech by congratulating the LA Kings on winning a cup. Thank the Flyers fans for hosting the draft, and also say hello to everybody at home watching.
Hello to everybody at Buffalo Wild Wings in downtown Los Angeles. Boo
Gary Bettman, who's doubled revenues in the NHL and helped everything work out really well. Anyway, sorry, controversial. Yeah, Josh, I appreciate that. Bettman, it's good. He was treated pretty well at LA. It was the first time, that when the Stanley Cup was presented, I was happy the fans are not idiots and booing Bettman for no reason whatsoever. People don't even know. I mean, it's just one of those guys. It's fun to boo, I guess. But.
Well, if it's any indication, Eck, the A+ Mini Mart that I visited this morning was out of batteries.
Oh Lord. That's a really inside joke for Philadelphia people. So check it out.
One thing, and this is it's always dangerous to make these comparatives of draft picks to players who are currently playing, and I sort of hate it because I think it puts a little undue pressure on these kids. It's like like we've been saying, Ekblad is Shea Weber or the next Shea Weber. I mean, people don't realize Shea Weber. I mean, we all know it, but Shea Weber was drafted in the middle of the second round. He was not a first overall pick in that draft. Just like Ryan O'Reilly was a second-round pick. Ekblad's been compared to Shea Weber. Richie is being compared to Milan Lucic. And the last player I could remember who was compared to Milan Lucic was Zach Kassian. The only thing that Zach Kassian is in terms of being compared to Milan Lucic is they're in the NHL, and that's it. Other than that, there is no comparison.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, and it is unfair, and but it's kind of, I don't know, is from the fans' perspective, and from a player's from just a reporter's perspective, I guess it's the lazy way out, to compare him to somebody. Go ahead, Josh.
Elliot Friedman tweets: Anaheim and Vancouver working hard at the Kessler deal, trying to get it done. We kind of knew that Vancouver and Anaheim were discussing a Kessler deal, but looks like it's getting pretty close, guys.
And from the indications, and I'll be surprised.
Notice I said Elliot Friedman, and I didn't say, I'm reporting, just so you know.
Elliot.
I'm not stealing anyone's stuff today, guys. Come on.
No, not today, Josh. Not today.
Supposedly, what going back to Vancouver for Kessler would be the number 10 pick overall and either a prospect or a player on the roster. I would have thought that the Canucks would have gotten a lot more back for Kessler than that.
Well, I can tell you that one thing we will say is that what you just said, Mike, I will bet my house that someone will say that at the end of this all, and they will say, I would have thought that the Canucks would have gotten more for Kessler than because there's no question that they're not going to get what they've been trying to get for Kessler. There's just, and I think that Kessler's a good player, but he's also like, when's his downfall? When is his downslope? It could be now. It's hard to say. Josh?
Yeah, the reason I was laughing hysterically there, guys, and looked like an idiot. Nick Kyprios retweets Chris Cook, and also at the end of the retweet puts giggle.
Very nice. I like it. Oh boy, Josh.
We're all coughing. Oh boy.
Sorry.
Too many cigars last night. Sorry, guys.
Pretty
How
funny.
many people can this is why you should not go to the blogger prom. Like, I came home and got to sleep like a good, responsible person, and Mike went out in the town in Philly and hit the blogger prom. Not that I was invited to the blogger prom, of course, because I've never been invited to the blogger prom.
I was looking for love in all the wrong places.
You were in the right place for that, but yeah, that's all right. Go ahead, Josh.
Let me ask you guys, if Sharp doesn't get traded today or the next couple days, does Rick Kern have egg on his face?
Nope, because the way he phrased it all, right?
Yep.
Because he was told, as of now.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like Holmgren and Brizgalov and Rich Winter all over again.
Yeah. The Florida Panthers are also, I was just told, very, very interested in Dave Bolin and are trying to figure out a way to possibly even move for his rights if possible.
Well,
would that be part of the deal too?
Yeah, because that would make a lot of sense. If it say let's piece it together. If what his sources that told Josh is correct, and it's Gardner. If it's Gardner and the rights to Bolin for the number 1 pick along with the number 8, that's like because basically the rights to Bolin for another team or for somebody else is a 4th or 5th round pick. That's what they would get back for. That's been the going rate for a guy like Boyle, a guy like Halak. So, go ahead.
We got a trade. Kessler to Anaheim is done, and that's according to Darren Dreger.
Wow.
Really?
Kessler to Anaheim is done. Awaiting details.
Okay, let's take a guess here while we don't know what the deal is.
All right. Yeah. Well,
I think it's the number 10 pick, and they get a young player on their roster, probably a Silverberg or Bonino. If it's not that, then Jim Benning got taken to the cleaners.
Right. Yeah.
You check it with your sources if you can find out.
Yeah, I got a couple texts coming in right now. I might be able to tell you in a second here.
Huh.
Okay.
This is always the fun time on the podcast when we just look at our phones and use enjoy this moment. We need some dun, 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 music in the background.
I'll dance.
Dun, 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 yeah, there you go.
Let's
play the girl from Ipanema.
Anybody seen my girl?
Oh, jeez.
All right.
So you think there's a draft pick involved in this deal? I guess.
Got to be a draft pick involved.
Their first has got to be involved. Now, remember, this is the first that they got from the Bobby Ryan deal, so it's actually Ottawa's first.
There's a couple interesting things about this deal. First off, I know the NHL did not want this deal announced before the draft.
Really?
Yeah, and I heard about this as a possibility, but that they said they weren't going to let anything happen until the draft.
Let's be honest. Do you think Darren Dreger was going to wait and TSN was going to wait till the draft because they lost the rights? They don't care anymore.
They don't care anymore, which is really an interesting thing. And what this does now is this really does open up the Spezza thing because obviously. This, Anaheim was one of the teams that was in on Spetzler too. So, in Spetzler.
Spetzler? Like, who the hell is that?
They cross-pollinated him.
Are you creating people today?
Spetzler. Kessa.
Tesla. Yeah, there you go. That's Rostislav Klesla. There you go.
Klesla. I don't know what are we saying here. Kessler to Anaheim. Yep, and man.
Sounds good. Sounds sort of familiar.
Yeah, somehow.
Guys, hold on. I might find out here. I'm putting you on.
Sounds like 2 players and a pick to Vancouver if this closes, according to Elliot Friedman. So 2 players.
Isn't it interesting? I mean, what's interesting? This is like now. This is the Sagan thing again, okay? Because this is like, I don't know. I mean, listen, we got to get the rumors out first, and I'm not one to talk about this. I put rumors out, but I don't break trades until players have been told. But we saw the Sagan thing before, right? And where the Sagan trade happened, and we were told it was all these players, and I got texts like crazy from people in Dallas and Boston worried about who was going where. As we waited for another hour for these players to be notified for the actual deal to be mentioned. So this is done, but the question is, well, it's done per Drager. It's done. I mean, Darren Drager's not going to report this if it's not done. But the question is, how this affects Spezza, and will Spezza now happen before the draft?
Good point. I mean, all the speculation is that Spezza was going to be in reaction to a Kessler deal because whoever got Kessler obviously drops out of it, and then we know that Anaheim was in on Spezza. I mean, there was connection between the two. But now those teams who are looking for a second center, like St. Louis, like Chicago, if they were in on Kessler and didn't get him, now they have to change their.
I got it, guys. I got the deal.
Yeah.
Well, it's not me that has it. It's Pierre LeBrun. Nick Bonino, Lucas Sabisa, and a 3rd-round pick for Kessler and a 3rd-rounder.
A third?
So they flop 3rd-rounders?
And they split and a 3rd-round pick. They just flip-flop 3rd-round picks is what happened, yeah.
Okay.
I got Bonino.
Oh, here we go.
Bonino.
Ducks trade Bonino, Sabisa, 24th overall, and a 3rd-rounder.
There you go.
Kessler and a 3rd-rounder.
So they traded their pick and not Ottawa's pick.
That's correct.
There you go. They traded their second. Okay, I quit. I got it.
I quit.
I'm retiring.
Well done.
Yes.
So they got Bonino and Sabisa.
Well, Sabisa's on. This is his 3rd team. Wasn't he a Flyers? He was a Flyers pick.
Drafted by the Flyers.
Yeah, and
traded at the draft for Chris Pronger in a very similar time, like just a few minutes before the draft. Spiza was part of the Chris Pronger deal. My memory of Lucas Spiza was I was the only Flyers person covering that draft. Like, no, the newspaper didn't send anybody. The Flyer, it was in Columbus, and I was the only Flyers person. So when Lucas Spiza was drafted, that was the first guy they picked. And the Flyers media were surrounded. It was just me and like 4 people who worked for the Flyers media relations people, Lucas Spiza. And I'm like, okay, yeah, basically like talk to him as long as you possibly can because we want to justify our own jobs, right? So I asked Lucas Spiza. He was very good kid, and I said, what haven't you been asked yet? What's your favorite song? Like, what's a song that gets you pumped up? Like, what would you go home and listen to now that you've been drafted first overall? And he's like, Journey. I'm a real big fan of Journey. And
that's why they traded him.
That's my memory of Lucas Spiza.
His favorite song was "Separate Ways" by Journey.
Yeah, no, Separate Ways. No, I don't think it was Separate Ways.
What year was that he got traded on draft day, Yak?
Yeah, fine. I don't know. If only there was some kind of device I could ask that question to.
Actually, was 07, wasn't it?
Hockey DB.
They went to the finals with Edmonton in 07.
Only I had a box in front of me with information that I could text something into.
If you could go to Hockey DB, you go to Hockey DB. This is how you.
I got it. I'm almost sure it was 06 because Pronger was in the finals with Edmonton, and then come back for the next season because he wanted.
It was 09. It was 09, and it was 09, and it was okay. So this is the deal. The Flyers made the biggest. They remember Lucas Spiza wasn't the big player in this deal. Who was?
He went to Anaheim for 3 years. Duh.
Actually, you want to laugh. This could kind of even be Sabisa's really 4th trade because in 2008, the draft pick that was used to draft him was traded to Colorado, and then Colorado traded
back to Philly.
Sorry. The Colorado traded it to the Blue Jackets, and then the Blue Jackets traded that pick to Philadelphia. And then Philadelphia took
I'm dizzy now.
All right, so Pronger and prospect Ryan Dingle went from the Ducks to Philadelphia for forward Joffrey Lupul, right? And Lucas Spiza, first-round picks in 2009 and 2010, and conditional third-round pick in 2010 and 11.
Who were the 2 first-round picks?
The 2009 and 2010 first-round picks that they picked up? Yeah, that would be a fun thing to look at. If only there were another way of finding that information.
Hold on.
Anyway, we could all check this out. But this is fun, but I think we should really talk about the other stuff because we're almost out of time.
Well, how does this
affect?
Still going to be impacted? Yeah.
Right. How does this affect everything? Because I think that I'm going to go out on a limb. It's not a limb now, but I'm going to tell you that I think now that we will see this Betsa trade before the draft. And I really thought it was going to happen during or even after the draft. But I think that now we might very well see because the Kessler trade I was told was the harder deal to get done. So take that for what it's worth.
And if you look at the rumor that you had about a week ago about Kessler and the Leafs, the cost was pretty much on par with what the Leafs offer was.
Yeah, this is it's a big. They paid him. I mean, Lucas Spiza though opens up Vancouver for something else because that's a play. Like the Canucks don't need Lucas Spiza. This I wonder about this because the one thing they don't really need defensemen.
Two guys who you could honestly see Vancouver shopping. One more than likely is I think Bieksa could be on the move. He's 32 years old. He's it's sort of like in the same boat as Kessler. He's 32 years old, but he's been beaten up by the playoff wars and everything for so long. I think he's got a 35-year-old body and he's actually 32. The other one's
I hate when that happens.
Yeah.
The interesting thing too here, guys, is with the acquisition of Sabisa, you got to think that the Canucks are going to be parting with a left-handed defenseman today.
Right. The other one's Edler.
Edler's the guy, and I think I know the Flyers have interest in Edler, and we talked about this earlier today. Actually, Bill and I talked about it on the phone, but we didn't talk about it on the podcast. I've heard the Flyers have interest in Edler. They had interest in Edler last year at the draft. I mean, at the trade deadline. So Edler is
and so did
the Flyers
so
also
did
like
Boston.
Lucas Pizza, and he's been an ex-Flyer. So
there you go.
Could Lucas Pizza possibly be on his way back?
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, go ahead.
I got Canucks fans tweeting me saying we wanted number 10. This was a bad trade.
Well, that was inevitable. Didn't I just say 23 minutes ago that the second Kessler was traded, we would hear this?
Well,
I mean, it's inevitable that you have to. Yeah.
It's number 24 and I'm sorry, it's not in a bad draft. It's not no draft is bad because you never know what's going to happen 10 years down the road. But but this is not a bumper crop. This is not expected to be a great draft.
No.
So number 24 pick. If you're lucky, he's a third liner in 4 or 5 years.
No really good sweet corn in this one.
Yeah, there you go.
Josh?
Yeah, I just I don't get it.
Sometimes I like to go to Josh for fun. Just when I think you're totally confused.
I think they should have gotten the 10th overall pick. I agree. I'm looking at this deal, and I mean, Bonino, what's he done? What's he gonna do? Bonino. Sorry, not Bonino. I meant Sabisa, but Bonino.
They're both good players, Josh. They're both good players.
Ryan Kessler, and what are you going to get with 24th overall? You can go and take that.
I like this deal. I think I disagree with you. I'm telling you, Bonino and Spiza are both good young players, and they are both good teammates. They're hard workers. I like Bonino a lot, actually. There have been times when he's been one of the better players on the Ducks team. Spiza is incredibly consistent.
Go ahead.
Mackenzie just tweeted now the Canucks have traded Kessler to Anaheim, hearing Vancouver still very active, may still be looking for number 1 overall, perhaps trading Garrison. So according to Mackenzie, Vancouver could be the most active.
If you trade Garrison. I'm sorry to throw it out there. That's a mean thing to do.
Well, if he said no to the no trade clause, they can't trade Garrison.
Can't trade him. But I really still think that I mean, like I wrote last night, they're still my odds-on favorite, and I did report this first last night, Josh. First last night that Vancouver was who was going to get that first-round draft pick, because I've heard it from lots of people.
Here's something that affects everybody, affects all teams. John Shannon is just reporting, hearing the players may not invoke the escalator in the salary cap equation. Cap could be well below $70 million. And he asks, 68 question mark. If it's $68 million, you're going to have a lot of teams scrambling here.
I don't understand enough about economics as to why the players wouldn't want the cap to go up. I don't get that. I mean, the players want the cap to go up, right? Where am I missing? Why wouldn't they evoke the escalator of life?
They're afraid of heights.
On the escalator. Yeah. I mean, what is it? I mean, that's crazy. I mean. There's got to be a reason, I'm sure, and I'm an idiot for this. Yeah, someone told me today I was an idiot. A couple of people told me I was an idiot today on Twitter.
I'm an idiot to everybody, apparently. So
yeah.
I feel your pain.
Well, somebody today tweeted that I'm a bleeping idiot, right? And I went, and whenever somebody tweets me that, that's just like immediately, okay, you're going to block that person. But once in a while, you just want to see what kind of person would tweet you that. So like you click on their profile, and it was a Christian father of 2 enjoying. And I'm like, okay, I'm a bleeping idiot. You follow me, and you're a Christian father of 2. Awesome. Anyway, just throwing it out there. Josh.
Yes.
Oh, you put your hand up, man.
I'm scratching my ear.
Oh, come on. You faked me out.
No, it's time to end the podcast.
I'm checking the wire to see if there's any other good stuff here before we go.
Yeah, we got to get back to work, guys. I got to get back to. I'm going to drive down to the city now, I think, because this is probably. I don't know.
I do.
Josh. Go ahead.
Rob Longley speaking with Dave Nonis, and get ready for the roll of the eyes from Mr. Mike Agello. Dave Nonis on James Reimer. He's a good goalie, and he has the ability to start. I wouldn't rule him coming back next year.
Cut to me, Eck.
Cut to Mike.
Yeah.
Told you. There's the eye roll. I knew that was coming.
At any moment, Mike, I'm going to come over there and shoot a puck at you. Because in front of that net, that's what I do down here when I'm in my office. When I go crazy, I just go over there and shoot pucks. Anyway, so yes.
How can you bring Reimer back after what happened last year? Like,
if you can't get equal value for him, that's how. I mean,
this text, guys. Marty Brodeur. 2 teams. 1, Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yep. The other?
Don't know. But I was told 1 of the Toronto Maple Leafs, so we'll have to keep an eye on that one.
Well, excuse me. I'm sorry. He was in Toronto on Wednesday.
No, I know it was in Toronto on Wednesday, and again, this has nothing to do with him being in Toronto. Believe me, this person would not.
I know.
I remember I'll never forget, and this is the last thing we can say because this is what you guys need to know about the way where people are. There's 2 things that are crazy. When people put their houses on the market is nuts. When people are places like Paul Holmgren was in Minnesota 2 years ago, and it was like, oh yeah, he's definitely going to trade for the Wild. This was right before trade deadline. And I texted them. I'm like, so, Paul, you're in Minnesota. What's going on? He's like, my dentist is in Minnesota. I got to go back to him. All right. So there you go. So maybe Brodeur's dentist is in Toronto.
Oh.
Josh.
Sportsnet Murph has tweeted out, this may be out there, but the Canucks did ask Garrison to waive no trade last week, and he agreed as long as he approves of the destination.
Holy friggin' hell. All right, well, just goes to show you loyalty is alive and well in the NHL because a player who not too long ago turned down way more money to come to play for your team in like 2 years ago, now officially you've asked to waive his no-trade clause to possibly go back to the team that he left.
But obviously he doesn't want to go there.
So the Canucks are going to change the emblem on the front of their jersey from the whale to a weasel.
This is amazing. Well, anyway.
Squeak, squeak.
I could say so many things now, and I won't. All right. I'm gonna stop. We're gonna stop this podcast. We got to get to work. I gotta get time to make the rumors.
Make the rumors. Yes.
One more before we let you go.
Gosh, what's going on, man?
The Boston Bruins have just tweeted out Chiarelli's working to try and sign Jerome McGinley.
Okay, well, that's good. I mean, that's if they are doing that, I am telling you right now, guys, Louis Eriksson is gone, and that's kind of I'm a Louis Eriksson guy, but
since when do teams tweet stuff out like that? That's interesting.
Yeah, it's the death of my job, Josh.
Yeah,
my job too. I don't know why I'm laughing.
I know it's the end, right? That's the end. I'm just.
See, it won't end my job because I can still call them stupid if they're.
Been a good run, folks. Raise a glass. we're out of here. All right, guys. This is the deal. Mike and I are going to head in the car. So if you're on the Schuylkill Expressway, wave frantically if you see an orange Hummer pass you. And also, we will be at the draft, of course. So when we get down there, depending on how wacky things are and crazy things are, if we get a lull, we're going to tweet out a place to meet, probably like one of the establishments inside the arena there, or maybe outside the arena. And we'd love to meet up with you guys. Now that now that you've seen my face on the podcast, feel free to say hi. I'm not an evil monster, even though some people still treat me that way. So say hi. If you see Mike, say hi. Bill will be with us too. Maybe I'm going to get Kevin Allen out of there. Who knows? We may get some chick from Florida. Anything's possible. Josh, we won't see you. But yeah, we'll but definitely we'll follow my Twitter account at Eklund. Follow Mike's thing. We're gonna say hi to you guys at some point. We will at some point talk to you all. So. Geez, we got a long day ahead of us. Follow closely, and at any point, Mike and I might jump on and do a quick little mini podcast at some point as the day goes. If something big breaks right from there, I don't know if that's legal, but we might try it. So here we go. Remember, without the buzz, it is just friggin' hockey. Josh. Thanks, kids.
It's draft day. I had to do it.
It's draft day. All these trades, all these rumors, some are going to happen, some are not going to happen. It's just hockey. It's okay. It's all right. It's going to be fine. Okay?
According to Andy Strickland, sorry.
Go ahead.
Kessler gave Vancouver Canucks 2 destinations he would accept the trade to, the Ducks and the Blackhawks.
Well, we knew that from before, but that doesn't mean that other teams weren't trying to convince them otherwise. Apparently, at the end of the day, I think the Hawks. I mean, the Canucks. Lost this game. They lost this game of chicken because I really think they could have held out more and gotten a better deal and sent Kessler to another team that's not maybe necessarily in their division. But yeah, that's fine. This is how it goes. So we'll see. We'll see. All right, guys. It's going to be a fun day, and you know what? It's not going to stop after today because the UFA day is like 102 hours away.
Woo!
So this is
and there is day 2 of the draft where there are some possibilities of some other deals happening. So
yeah, and you can also watch your paint dry in your living room on day 2 of the draft. So there's that too. But we'll see what happens tomorrow, for sure. It can be fun, it can be interesting, but we'll find it out. Interesting.
Woohoo!
See you soon, guys. Bye bye.